everyone, it's Sarah from Tombale again. So in the last video we worked on the tenon part of the mortise and tenon joint, and in this one we're going to be working on its body, the mortise. So what a mortise is going to end up looking like is pretty much a hole that fits this tenon over here. The equipment you'll be needing is roughly the same: mallet, chisels, calipers and square. But you'll notice I don't have the saw anymore because we will not be sawing the mortise. Okay, let's get it. First thing I'm going to do is to make some markings on the work pieces so I know exactly the exact orientation that they fit into each other. So on this one I've marked out that this will be the top and this will be the bottom. That just means that when I place it into the mortise, right, this should be facing up. And as for the mortise, I've marked in and out. In meaning that's where the tenon enters, and out meaning where the tenon exits. So the next thing you want to do is to get the measurements of your tenon. If it's been properly squared out, the measurements should be consistent all the way down on both sides. And if when you're using the calipers you notice this isn't the case, you definitely want to go back and square it out first. So I've got a measurement of 27 by 19. So my tenon is 19 by 27, and I also measured out the distance of these shoulders over here. The way I would do that is actually use that drop down function to measure the depth with the calipers. And yeah, this one's 9. I've actually done it just now, so this one's 9, 9, 10, 10, and this will help you mark out the shape of the mortise on this piece. I've drawn a line over here because I don't want to work too close to the corner, but basically I'm going to have a distance of 37 here to account for the thickness of the tenon stock. And that's what I've marked out over there. So I'm going to extend the line using the square. And then you can kind of place it down, get an idea of where the tenon is going to go through. And this is when the measurements that we took on the sides are important, because that means there's going to be a margin of 9 on this side, margin of 9 on this side, 10 going across the top, 10 going across the bottom. So you go ahead and measure that. So here I've got it marked out, margins of 9 on the side, 10 on the top. And this is actually the waist that I'm going to remove for us to form the mortise. Now what I'm going to do is actually, using the square, mirror this onto this side. So now you should have good reflection of the size of the mortise on either side. And yeah, once we have our mortise marked out, we can actually start bulking out the material inside there. The first thing I like to do is to put down a knife line. And what a knife line is actually sort of outline with using the chisel to both define the size of the mortise as well as terminate the fibers there, so there will be less tear on. It will become clearer later. But how I do a knife line is I want to place the cutting edge of the chisel just beside the line. I don't want to be on line again. Don't want to lose the reference, and then give it like a quick tap. Oops. You can see that outline that I've made, and I'll go ahead and do it on this side as well. There. So that's a knife line for you. And now we can start bulking out the material inside there. So it's pretty you can be pretty aggressive at this part. Just want to disrupt and sever a bunch of fibers there. Again, I don't want to go too close to where I made my knife line, or especially not beyond it. And I definitely don't want to be chopping down over the boundary. Let's do one more. And then now I go this way. Squares and everything. Okay, so you can see already it's starting to flake out from that small lettuce that I've chopped there. But I'll to give it a tap. Start to see the material flaking out. So that's what a knife line is for, because you notice that everything that I've chopped out over here, when I now lever it out, they terminate at that point instead of tearing out any material beyond what I want. Yeah. So basically I keep repeating this like bulking process until I get to roughly halfway through, and then I'll start doing that on the other side. I'll show you later. Of course, this would be a lot easier if you had a drill press or a hand drill, because you could remove a lot of material at one go just by cutting straight to the mortise. But I don't have one, so, and this is more fun anyway. Now we've got quite a deep recess on this side, and I'm going to start on this side. Be the same process, just whack it up. Watch the crunchy bits come up. Ooh, nice. Look at that. Yeah, that was pretty neat. But I'm gonna basically repeat the same process, try and meet the other side in the center. So as you can see, on both sides I made quite a lot of progress. I think I can break through this in a few more hits. Ooh. Okay, now the whole reason why we did it from both sides is to prevent it from tearing out. And also, it would just be very difficult to drive the chisel through that amount of wood. Just put this in. There, you can start seeing the hole. So even though we can see through now, right, there are definitely points of unevenness which you can feel just by running your hand on the inside of the mortise or just by eye. As long as the lump is visible, you want to do a quick chop. Again, again, not on your reference line. We just beside it. Try and remove a bit more of that material. And likewise, I chop to about the halfway mark, turn it over, do it from the other side to prevent tear. So it's okay if you form a slight undercut or like a dip in the center of that wall in there. You just don't want a hill. The hill is what's going to prevent your tenon from being able to sit in the mortise. So if you take a look at this bottom shoulder of the mortise, you can no longer see like a very visible lump there. I think there's still a small one, but that's enough for me to kind of use pairing to bring it down. Yeah, that's what you want to get. So just go ahead and do the rest. Now I've got it quite cleaned up, and what you want to make sure of before we move on to the next step, which would be fitting the tenon, is that firstly all the shoulders are flat, or at least there are no hills between them. So the way I do that is I just grab a chisel, then you see whether there's any rocking motion produced. Because if there was a hill in the center, then the chisel wouldn't be able to sit flat on both sides. And the next thing you want to do is to clear the corners. So you don't want any wood gunk sitting in the corners that will prevent the tenon from being able to sit inside. To remove that, you can just kind of like clean it out by pushing it with the chisel. Or you can do a scraping motion. So basically, scraping would be pressing it down, pulling this direction, just along the corners. Okay, let's try fitting. The thing about fitting is that it will almost never fit on the first try. Well, yeah, you can see it's slightly oversized. The idea is there, but it's slightly oversized. Instead of trying to widen the mortise, what I'm going to do is actually take the material down from the tenon. How I check for the fit of a tenon, right, is that by hand, I try and put it into the mortise. Oh, okay, that was not a good sound. If it's able to go about halfway through, which it is not, then I will try malleting it, but right now I can't. So what I do instead is I take it out, and on the tenon you should be able to see these burnish marks, which is where the wood becomes a bit shiny. That's basically where the wood's been compressed. You can actually use those burnish marks as a reference for how much you should bring it down to. So yeah, that's how I refine it. I've made some adjustments, and now we're going to try it out one more time. Top and mallet the last bit down. You can see that now it's been fitted nicely. I didn't cause any cracks. Yeah, the reason why you don't want to force it the whole way in with a mallet is because you will crack the wood on this side, and yeah. Of course, it still looks like a bit of a mess on this side because the tenon sticks out slightly. What you can do is actually plane it down flat, or sand it down. But yeah, it's always better to have a tenon sticking out than for it to not go all the way through. And I can't remember with my hand. I think I can if I try hard enough. But yeah. So in the two videos that we did on the mortise and tenon, we managed to come up with this working joint that can fit my hand. It's pretty solid, and I can also remove by hand. So you notice that the mortise and tenon is very simple joint, very useful. You can use it for things like stools, tables, boxes, basically anything. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.